Hello and welcome to this online lesson. My name is Mr. Hoven, and today we are going to be looking at why these early Europeans wanted to start exploring. What drove them? What was some of their motivations to go out beyond their borders, beyond their cities, beyond their towns, and discover what else is out there. So let's go ahead and get started. So interest in Asia began in the very, very early development of the European countries, city-states, and different towns. So in the beginning, the Crusades in 1095, Europeans launched the first of 9 expeditions. Well, really, they were military exercises to regain control of the Holy Land that was under Islamic control. So they would send these different armies or these different groups to Israel to try to bring back that city and that Holy Land under control of the Christians in the European Empire. So the Crusades kind of brought this whole idea of cultures together, that idea of cultural diffusion we talked about earlier in the year. They brought the Western Europeans in contact with the spices, the sugar, the silk, and other goods from China and India that Arab traders had. And in 1271, Marco Polo set off on a journey from Italy to China overland. And upon his return, he wrote of Asia's marvels in his book Travels, all of the different people that he met, all of the different goods he came in contact with, and the possibilities of the money that could be made by trading with these individuals in Asia. And there's Marco Polo right there. So interest in Asia continued. The growth of trade was a huge reason that Europeans wanted to come in contact more with Asian traders. They made Italian merchants especially wealthy. Merchants knew they could make a huge fortune from selling these goods from Asia. And so wealthy Europeans were clamoring for spices from the East, and they also wanted the perfumes, the silks, and the precious stones they heard about in stories of people like Marco Polo who had been there. Additionally, the Renaissance was going on in Europe, and a Renaissance is a period of intellectual and artistic creativity where new ideas come to light. At the same time, new leaders came to power in countries like Portugal and Spain. These leaders sought ways to increase trade and make their countries powerful and wealthy. Again, they knew there were so many great goods there, and they wanted to get their hands on them to start trading. So, again, why are people going out in these explorations and trying to gain more land? Well, a big idea and an underlying idea that we're going to focus on all of 7th grade, most of 8th grade, is the idea of imperialization. And that's when one country that is a very powerful or large country takes control of a smaller, weaker country for its own benefit. That's important. There's the definition. Usually, countries imperialize because they need 3 things, or they want 3 things: natural resources, or other resources in general, trading ports, places to trade their goods, and they want to expand their military presence in different areas. So if you look here on this map, you'll see that it's the British Empire of the 1920s. Now, Great Britain is this little guy right here. And look at all the red that they control throughout the world. That's because they were a very powerful country, and they were taking over parts of India, they have different parts of Africa, even in North America, and they were doing that to gain natural resources, trading ports, expand their military presence because they're powerful and they're taking over little ones for their own benefit. So how in the world did this exploration thing happen? I mean, there were huge ships flowing out into this ocean. Most people think it's flat. They think they're going to go off the side of the earth. They don't know where they're going. People are going out up until this point into the oceans and never coming back. People are thinking sea monsters or these demons got them. Well, a couple things came into play to allow exploration to happen. First was the printing press. In the 1450s, introduction of the printing press made it easier to print books, especially mass-producing books. Now more people had access to books, more people were reading and gaining this new information. Hundreds and thousands and even millions read Marco Polo's book Travels when he talks about all of those unique and exotic things he saw on his journey over to Asia. They had better instruments. The astrolabe, which is pointed right here with all those little discs, measured the position of the stars and calculated the ship's latitude. So they always knew kind of where they were at in general within the Earth, and hopefully they wouldn't fall off the side of the Earth. Magnetic compass. Now the magnetic compass allowed sailors to determine their direction where they were far from land. Now, we still use those today. Compasses when we're going on hikes and different things to keep an eye on where north is, where south, west, and east are, so we know our general direction. And they started developing better maps at this time. Cartographers, or also known as map makers, improved their skills. They used reports from explorers and Arab geographers. And these new maps showed directions of ocean currents, which was important when sailing a ship. They also showed lines of latitude, which are pictured here. So you knew, okay, now I've got the astrolabe to help me find my line of latitude. I know where I'm about at on this map. It's going to help people just travel. Also, there was Mercator maps, and these maps had rub lines, which allowed sailors to chart lines of constant course, because if they were starting here and moving up, they knew this was a straight line up into, let's say, oh, that's the New Americas when they were getting there. So just different ways of navigation that made it much easier and safer to travel. And finally, they just had better ships. Advancement in ship design allowed shipbuilders to construct vessels that were capable of long ocean voyages. Arab designs of stern rudders, so a rudder to steer your boat, and triangular sails made it possible to sail against the wind. That's pretty important. The caravel, and this was a three-masted ship which traveled faster than earlier ships, and it could carry more cargo. And it's pictured here on the slide. It could also float in shallow water, and this was important because it allowed sailors to explore narrow inlets and sail their ships up to the beach for repairs. And these were known as the best ship that had sailed the seas at that point. Well, that about wraps things up for today. Today we covered why countries began to imperialize or explore other areas of the world. We also looked at the different items or inventions that helped them stay safe on their travels. Hope you enjoyed this online lesson, and we'll see you next time.